we doing, everyone? Sam here, United People's TV. It's Friday, so I thought we'd whip the studio out instead of having the old studio. But look, how are we all doing? It's been another rough week. Jeez. That's all season long, isn't it? I think United have lost like 9 out of 17 games so far this season. It has been crap for the capital C so far. We've got Luton on Saturday again, well, at Old Trafford. Anything but a good 3 points against Luton, and we are rioting. We're not going to riot, but anyway, we're going to preview that a little bit later in the show. And the main talking point today is going to be around the Jim Ratcliffe takeover announcement, which is expected to happen next week. I'm going to run through everything that's been reported today from the BBC, everything that was reported yesterday from Sky Sports, from Sky News. And look, I'll run through everything with you. It's just, man, this is... That's what it is, like, just following United, being a United fan. It's just like, when is it going to change? When are things truly going to change at this football club? Now, the Jim Ratcliffe takeover is the start of genuine change. I'm going to run through all of that. We're going to whip the map out later on. You're going to let me know what you think in the comments below. It's interactive. You know what to do. Fire in your comments and questions, and I will try and answer as many of them as I can throughout the show. Let's have a look. Good morning to you, Diego, down there from the member gang. We've got Gwyn 4. We've got Josh and Ant, I can see you there, and Alex as well, and Stu and Carl. Proper gang. Wendy, you're there. Andrew, you're there as well. Saeed and Devo, Chris Dype, Andrew Elvin, and DJ Dina, who's on Facebook. We've got Edith John. We've got Thamandran. I got that right, I think. Ray Rogan, how you doing? Rashid. We've got Anderson. We've got Philemonums, I think. Steve, Musa, and Craig. Good morning to all of you. Oh, yeah. It will be nice. Oh, geez. I've been saying for so many years, at some point, things will turn around properly. At some point, and I'm still absolutely convinced that is the case. I just don't know when. I just don't know when. I really don't. But look, of course, we were looking at this red card from Rashford against Copenhagen that completely and utterly changed everything else that happened in the game following. And we were all angry at it. And then we're sitting there watching Liverpool last night playing, and we're seeing, I think it was Endo? Oh, God knows who it was. I think it's Endo. And you're looking and going, hold on here. So Marcus Rashford sent off there for a little red card there. But you're telling me that decision of the day after, nah, it's different. It's different. And this is, there's, it feels like there's no point arguing and getting upset. I don't know what to describe it anymore, but I find here more often than not now sitting here agreeing with Jamie Carragher, which is a problem unto itself. But I wonder what the powers will actually change, or whether they're just going to be stubborn and just stick with it. Strikes me that they're just going to be stubborn and stick with going, nah, sod this. We've committed to it. We're going to go down it, even though like it's so obviously wrong. In trying to fix it, they're probably only going to make it worse. And I think VAR's got to step back, and that's what I mean. I'm sitting here agreeing with Jamie Carragher. How boring is it? And like how seriously boring is it to talk about referees this much? I don't care about referees. If you're a referee, it's because you were crap at football. If you're a goalkeeper, it's because you weren't good enough to go up front. Not necessarily true. But, man, the amount of time you spend talking about decisions, it's crap. It's all part of the melodrama of football, the entertainment of football, and what it is now. Yeah. You know what's even more hilarious, right? You know what's even more hilarious? The idea that Rashford could face an extra game ban. Apparently, United can't appeal red cards under UEFA rules. which is fun. Which you gotta laugh at it, man. You have to laugh at it. But yeah, odds are he gets a 2-game ban then. If he can get a 2-game ban, he will get a 2-game ban. Well, at least someone's down here spreading some cheer, because I'm not. Chris, you're gifting 5 memberships. How you doing, man? Thank you very much. It shouldn't be me that's thanking you. It should be the 5 that you just gifted it to. Jeez. It's nice putting out the proper studio on these lives. I'm going to keep this for a Friday show. We've got the map to come a little bit later on. But whoa. What are you saying in the comments? Let me read through a few of these on VAR. I think I know what they're going to be. And then we'll move on to speak about Ratcliffe. And that's the core talking point for today's show. We have to move on. Sam, you slated Arsenal, Liverpool for constantly bitching. Gavin, it's because the conversation is last weekend, it was a Maguire subjective offside. 72 hours later, it's a wild... It's Rashford getting a red when there was no intent there whatsoever. And anybody who knows football knows that wasn't a red card. And if it wasn't that, then it's the week before with another game-changing decision. You can say I'm moaning and bitching about it because it's happening every week. It's happening 2 times a week. It's happening every game. If there was I don't know why it always sticks in my head, but like when Chelsea played United at Old Trafford, and that was when Jobber was about 7 yards offside, or when Paul Scholes scored against Porto and it wasn't offside, and then Porto ended up knocking United out. Mourinho went to win the treble, and that was the whole ripple effect. It happened occasionally, like a game-changing decision that was incorrect. Happened occasionally, but red cards now are as common as penalties. Every game, you now honestly, I go into every single game now expecting there to be some sort of possible red card. Every single game. It's the melodrama of football and what it's got turned into, because that's what the Premier League want. The Premier League want an entertainment package that they can sell, so it actually suits them. They're probably happy about this melodrama. Louis, right down there, it was invented to improve and it has done the opposite. That I think everybody can agree with. Now look, there we go. There's me bitching and moaning, but it's the way that football's gone and going, and I will continue to moan about it because it's crap. I'm bored of it. I say it like 4 or 5 times a week now. I'm bored of it. Here we go again and again and again. So can we just get the pain out of the way now? And can we just award Luton a penalty now? Just give them a penalty going into the game. Simplify it. Then we can, it's all right. But at least we know it now. All right. Don't have to wait for the game on Saturday to know that Luton are going to get a penalty at some point. All right. Good. Aaron, thank you very much, dude. Gifted a membership there. I don't know who you gave it to, but that's you're tired at the hip now to that person. But look, let's talk about it. This is a big moment for us as a club. Now, before I look down in the comments, I don't need to read the comments. No, this isn't the end of the Glazers that we wanted it to be. But is it the start? Yeah, it absolutely is. And Jim Ratcliffe's announcement, which is expected to be confirmed or ratified over the international break and next week. This is the starting point of genuine change at our football club, and it is the biggest switch and change with the ownership since 2005. It's 17 years we've been waiting to get towards a point like this. Is it what we want completely? No. 25%? Well, there's still 75% more to go there, Jim. But it is the beginning. And that's the first thing I'm going to say here before I dive into the news. We obviously want more, but we know the Glazers are just unreasonable. Completely beyond logic, completely beyond rational conversation and planning. They are so entrenched in their own mindset and numbers that logic doesn't work with them. All right. I'm going to speak through what's going on with Jim Ratcliffe. I'm going to give me a few minutes of your time. I'll read through all the comments and the articles. No, I'll read through the articles and the news, and then I'll come back down to the comments, and you can let me know what you think. Right. So let's go full screen on this. So, Jim Ratcliffe. This is what Sky Sports were reporting yesterday. Kavi Solihull saying that a date has been set for the announcement, and he didn't go as far as to say any date in particular, but following on from this, which was Mark Kleiman, you remember I covered all of this. Mark Kleiman was the original news reporter who covered the strategic investment alternatives. And in this article here, which was dated on the 3rd of November, he was saying that a deal is expected to be announced within a fortnight. Now, it's going to be that was 7 days ago. And now we've got the next 7 days of when this announcement is expected to be made. And this is from the BBC. And let's read through what Simon Stone is saying on this. All right. Jim Ratcliffe's deal to become a minority shareholder is expected to be agreed during this month's international break, possibly as early as next week. We know full well it's going to be 1.25 billion. And on top of that, Jim Ratcliffe is going to be pledging $300 million of his own money. So it's going to be, at the beginning stage, it's going to be a 1.5 billion pound investment for 25% of Manchester United, and a little bit more on top coming from Jim Ratcliffe personally. Now, down here, it has been reported that, well, we know full well, this is what it's going to be. All right. This is what this 25% takeover is. It's not getting rid of the Glazers. It's taking control of the footballing side of Manchester United away from the direct influence of Joel and Avram Glazer. That's what this change is. Okay? And there's so many questions that are still going to be asked about this takeover. What's this footballing structure? Okay? As far as we know, it's going to be a football committee set up that's going to have 3 people on it: Jim Ratcliffe, Dave Brailsford, and Joel Glazer. None of us wanted Joel Glazer there. We were sold the concept of full sporting control that's been diluted a little bit to effective sporting control, which means there's a board there. I say a board, it's a football committee. 3 of them, 2 of them are Ineos, therefore they've got the majority. Therefore, that's why they're going to have effective control. Now, as I said, everybody is reporting that this should be expected to be announced next week. Dave Brailsford is going to be heavily involved. And I've spoken about Dave Brailsford quite a few times. I've done an in-depth video, really in-depth video on Dave Brailsford. You know, what's he done in his career? Why did he start working with Ineos? That's because Ineos bought Team Sky. He was the team principal. That's where they started working with each other. Now, people are looking at Dave Brailsford and going, "Ah, he's not a football man. Oh my God, he can't possibly be involved in United." And you're just looking at it wrong. Dave Brailsford is not going to be involved in the footballing decisions at Manchester United. He's there from an operational perspective. He will be there to say, right, okay, what's working in terms of the people we've got in place, in terms of the processes, in terms of the structures. It's kind of the boring stuff behind the scenes that make companies and businesses work seamlessly. Processes, plans, routines. That's what Brailsford is going to be coming in to do. He did it at Ineos. He did an audit at Ineos. He came in, not Ineos, sorry, at Nice for Ineos. He came in, did the audit. And if you want to know more about it, I think Alex has just dropped the link down there. You'll learn quite a bit from that video about what Dave Brailsford is actually good at and why I don't think you should be looking at it going, "Oh my God, oh, it's horrendous. Oh, Dave Brailsford coming in. What an absolute catastrophe." I'm not saying he's perfect, by the way, but I can see some merit to him coming in. Let me see what you're saying down here in the comments. Sam, when do you realistically think we will start seeing things changing? Really good comment there from Tyler. I think that's going to be the next point. What I would expect straight away, okay, what I want to see straight away is this. Okay. So if you look back at when Ineos bought Nice, I think because we're all saying, okay, what can we expect to happen? So, well, how about we just look at what happened at Nice with Ineos and we can say, right, okay, well, they did this and they didn't do that. What I want to see from Jim Ratcliffe is this. So this was a letter that Jim Ratcliffe sent to Nice fans in 2022, 3 years on from when the original purchase took place. And in this, he speaks to Nice fans about. I don't need to share this. Well, I can share this if you want. You can. If I'll put the link down there if you want to. Okay? This is where Jim Ratcliffe sort of spoke about. Okay, this has happened in the last previous 3 years. We made some mistakes. I know that, but this is what we're going to be doing going forward. And I've spoken to you about. Again, I've done so much in-depth stuff. Not everyone. It's just the way that YouTube goes. A lot of YouTube content, people like low-hanging fruit. Not everybody wants to look at the in-depth stuff. And I've done so much in-depth stuff. And I did a whole research video into Ineos's ownership of Nice and the things they got wrong. And trust me, they got quite a lot wrong in those first 3 years. However, from that moment there, from that letter from Jim Ratcliffe, there has been, you can pretty much put Ineos's ownership of Nice into kind of 2 chapters. Chapter 1, 2019 to 2022. And they made so many mistakes. You're looking at what they've done since then from 2022 when they brought in Jean-Claude Blanc as the CEO of Ineos Sports, as an overseer for all of Ineos' sports franchises. They brought in a new sporting director to Nice in Florent Gassolfi. They brought in a new manager. Both of those two have linked up. Now Nice are top of League One. They're in the strongest position that they have been in a long time. They are playing far better football. Jonathan, completely correct there. Chapter 1 is exactly that. And I think this is where United fans, we're going to slightly benefit from Ineos's ownership of Nice. Because they've made some serious mistakes there. And they've learnt on the job whilst owning Nice. So they shouldn't be making those mistakes coming into United. Wayne, you're saying, yeah, this is United, not Nice. And yeah, that's a whole another ball game. Because you can't just take successes or failures at Nice and go, well, we've learned that at Nice, therefore it's going to work at Manchester United. There's obviously going to be scaling issues. But I want to see this straight away from Jim Ratcliffe. I want to see him come out with, right, okay, so the 25% takeover, sorry, wrong one. 25% takeover has happened or happening. What's the plan? What are your tangible goals? 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 5 year? What are you planning to do? What are you pledging to invest? What's happening with the debt? It's going to be a big question for so many fans. I've already done my video where I did, I said, these are sort of 8 questions I've got for Jim Ratcliffe in the build up to him doing that takeover. And I don't think people can, I don't think, what I would say, do not expect huge change straight away, immediately. All right. What they are going to do is the same audit that Dave Brailsford came into Nice, performed a club audit where he looked at absolutely every part of the infrastructure, said what was right and what was wrong. What I like to think has happened behind the scenes, right? And I don't know whether this is true or not. I like to think that Dave Brailsford has already started this. Behind the scenes, this has been ongoing for so bloody long that he could have already done an audit, well, a lot of an audit already behind the scenes. I don't know whether that's the case or not, or whether he's only going to start it when he comes into Manchester United. I'm going to go down and read some more of your comments there, because this is a really significant moment for our club. This is the beginning of actual genuine change. It might not be the change that all of you wanted. So many United fans were in complete support of a full Qatari takeover. You're going to be disappointed. Okay, that's on you. I'm really disappointed that the Glazers have managed to wangle a way to stay linked to our club and in control in some capacity. But I'm also going to be pretty happy at the idea that the footballing decisions are going to be taken away from the Glazers. Like we are genuinely right. I don't know the time scale of this. I look at this and I think, how can we possibly? Again, this like the Glazers screwing United. It's the 10th of November now. The January transfer window is in less than 2 months. How can we feasibly make changes like Paul Mitchell or Jean-Claude Blanc that are going to have an actual tangible make a tangible difference in that short space of time? I question whether they're going to be able to. I imagine the January transfer window, we're going to have to be looking at probably there's two main things I think United will be doing in the January transfer window. Number one is getting rid of Sancho, and number two is bringing in a centre back. I think both of those two things happens. I don't know whether anything else will be able to happen in January. First of all, because of money, but also because remember, again, I don't know the exact numbers here, but when it comes to Jim Ratcliffe and that personal investment here, we're being told that that's actually going to go towards infrastructure. So is that going to be towards a new Carrington, a new Old Trafford? This is what I mean. This is why we need this letter from Jim Ratcliffe and from Ineos. This is the 25% takeover. This is the 25% takeover. This is what it means. These are our plans for the next 100 days. These are our plans for the next 3 months, 6 months. We need communication. If there's one thing that we as United fans need with this change in ownership structure, is a change in the communications. We can't be left in the dark anymore. We've been left in the dark as a football club for so long. But as fans, I think we deserve to know what's going on, because for so long it's been smoke and mirrors. Now, I've been speaking for a while there. Let me go down here and start reading a few of your comments out. I think there's a couple of super chats. I didn't miss these. J-Law, you're saying, Sam, in my opinion, we should sit back and see where this goes. I don't think spreading hope is a good thing as a fans. Have been burnt many times and are tired. I'm not just trying to spread hope for the sake of spreading hope. The footballing decisions are about to get taken away from Joel and Abraham Glazer. Like, they won't have control over them. They might have a say. Like, if Joel Glazer's on the new football committee and he's one of three men, then his voice will be listened to. But his voice will not control the decisions. He will not be in charge of who comes in as Manchester United's new CEO on the footballing side. He will not be in charge of who comes in from a sporting director perspective. That will be down to Jim Ratcliffe and mainly Dave Brailsford. I'll be honest, past the point of the takeover happening, I don't really expect us to be hearing or seeing much from Jim Ratcliffe. He's going to be the face of it, but in terms of day-to-day involvement, he won't be here. I don't think anyway. Well, let's find out. Saying Ineos's PR machine won't be silent after. I mean, Ineos have always played a public-facing game with the takeover the whole way through, really, haven't they? Jim Ratcliffe and Dave Brailsford going to Old Trafford for the meetings directly with Richard Arnold. Yeah, they played a different game to the Qataris. Steve, you're saying, without a plan that the average fan can understand and see in action, the discontent will resurface quickly. We need a fan plan. It's a good comment. Oh, look, man, you gifted 5 memberships as well. One absolute ledge. And Tom, both of you. Sorry, I missed those when I was rambling on. I'll get a gong out here. Jeez. Over 900 people watching. Only 200 people have liked the video. Come on, that's 700 of you. Come on in. Let's join in. I'm going to go down and read some of your comments now. Iskander is saying, how can a minority shareholder change Manchester United? It's complicated, but it's simple in concept. The concept is that Manchester United, past this point, will effectively become two separate entities working under the umbrella of Manchester United. It'll be Manchester United corporate, and it'll be Manchester United Football Club. The corporate side of things will still remain in the Glazers' control. They'll be in charge of the sponsors, of the overall profit and loss accounts, of the money of the football club. So therefore, you can't completely disconnect them from the football side of things, because if you're in control of the budgets, then surely you're directly impacting the ability for the sporting side to do their job. So there will be crossover. It's impossible to completely separate them. That's what I think anyway. And what you're saying down there, logically, I'd expect Jim Ratcliffe to immediately begin to try and acquire further shares. Well, that's actually been said separately, hasn't it? And again, this is why we need more information. All right, we need more information as fans, and we have been. Let's be completely honest. I've tried my best over these last 12 months. Actually, my word. Let me just quickly check that. Man United strategic investment alternatives, because we can't be far off an exact 12-month anniversary of this. Let's have a look. My God, we are just shy of it. In 11 days' time, 12 days, sorry. In 12 days' time, it will be exactly 1 year since that was announced. 12 days' time. And we have, it's just, man, it has been an exhausting 12 months for all of us, trying to cover this. And we've been starved of real information, haven't we? We've had to sort of pull everything together and just sort of logically and rationally go, right, okay, well, it's probably this then rather than that. But it's been a lot of smoke and mirrors, a lot of things behind NDAs, a lot of people saying one thing and then getting burned and then actually saying something else. It almost feels like the Glazers gave themselves a deadline. So, okay, right. So we've announced that, and within a year, we'll do something. And that something is going to be the announcement that should be coming next week: Jim Ratcliffe and a 25% takeover. Firing some questions now. Like, what are your biggest concerns? What are you happy about? What do you want me to ask me some questions about it? I think this is the floor is open, because this is such an important moment for us as a club. I'm still, of course, I am absolutely crapping myself, if I'm honest. What real change is going to possibly happen for a man who only owns 25% of the club? What is going to be down in that legal contract that guarantees him that the Glazers can't just come over the top? 1 second there, sorry, got a cough. DP, if or when we and Nice are both in the Champions League, what will happen? Absolutely nothing. Haven't Leipzig and Salzburg already played each other? Again, this is UEFA and the Premier League, just the greedy powers that be at the top of football have allowed multi-club ownership models to exist, and they now can't stop it. So rules are going to change. In a few years' time, you might see Nice playing Manchester United in the Champions League, both owned by Ineos, but nothing's going to be done about it. That's the way that they have let football go. Alex, what do you think happens to our scouting network? We've been doing quite a lot of revamp to the scouting network over the last 6 months or so. So I don't know whether that is going to change per se. But the whole transfer system at Man United is still broken. And we've all spoken about it and maintained this quite a lot. When it comes to a successful manager, yeah, you have to be a good manager. You have to be a very smart tactician. You have to be a modern thinking manager, able to manage individuals. And there's lots of nuances to being a manager. But probably the most important thing is the club getting the transfers correct. And if you're looking about hitting the bullseye and all that stuff we've been talking about before, Man United have missed quite a few times under Eric Ten Hag, and quite a few times at Eric Ten Hag's instruction, because he's trying to do the best he can as a manager, and at the same time trying to do the best he can in being the sporting director and telling the club who to sign. Truth be told, he just can't do both those things. Jurgen Klopp would not be the manager he is at Liverpool if the likes of Michael Edwards and all of those people behind the scenes were not there to support him. It's just a simple truth. The manager being in control of everything is not a modern practice. Clubs are too big. Player power is too strong now that you just can't have it. And that's ultimately where Man United have failed Eric Ten Hag. And yeah, he's had too much power. I understood it in the first summer. And I said I understood it in the first summer. Because in the first summer, we had absolutely no infrastructure in place for Ten Hag when it came to signings. And I'm thinking, well, of course, he's going to lean on the Eredivisie because he knows what he wants and he knows the Eredivisie. So it's a bit safe. But we did the same thing in the second summer. And that's on Manchester United. And he's saying, is Blanc reliable in terms of recruitment and scouting? Does he have the track record of Mitchell? Blanc is not somebody. Let me pull this. So I've got a video going out. That's Paul Mitchell. I've got a video going out next week. I've got so much content planned, right? And this is the sort of content that I love doing, because I think this is the sort of content that is important for United fans. Blanc I wouldn't look at him from a recruitment perspective. That's not going to be his mantra. That was not going to be his focus. When it comes to Blanc and what he did with the Winter Olympics before he moved into football, and then he went into Juventus when they had the scandal and they got relegated, and he was there to steady the ship, and he came up with the idea of the new stadium and how they'd fund it and modernize that club and have brought massive stability to it. And then he went to PSG, and he was the man in charge of the marketing of PSG. And if you're looking at how fashionable PSG is, obviously they were in Paris, so they had the culture of Paris as a strength, but the Air Jordan partnership that Paris Saint-Germain have got, and quite a few things behind the scenes, Blanc has more been in charge of all of that. So he's the CEO, the chief executive officer. If he comes into United, he's not going to be the man in charge of signings. That would go specifically down to a sporting director. Now, those two dovetailing have got bags of experience across different clubs, modernizing clubs, and proven track records, and both have ties to Ineos, and that's why the links are quite easy to make. And it's not just a marriage of convenience. It's not just bringing Mitchell. Ratcliffe knew him before. He'd actually be probably the perfect candidate for me. I've been wanting Paul Mitchell into this club for so long, it hurt. It's just been like banging your head against a brick wall because you never thought it would happen. Paul Mitchell being in charge of recruit. Paul Mitchell's got an excellent record at Southampton in identifying the likes of Mane and Alderweireld, and when he went to Spurs and they brought Son in, and then actually brought Alderweireld with him to Spurs as well, and there's tons of others actually. I can't remember off the top of my head. Then he went to Leipzig and worked with Ragnick and brought in the likes of Haidara and Kunku as well. And then when he went to Monaco, that's where he kind of stepped into a slightly different role at Monaco. It wasn't specifically more to do with the recruitment. It was more to be an overall sporting director, controlling the vision of Monaco, linking the youth teams a bit closer to the first team again. And then he ended up Monaco went on a different path, and then he left. But this is Brian, you've left a comment there. That's a video I've got planned. Someone down there saying, is there a video on Mitchell and the transfers he has made? I'm going to do a video on probably the 20 best transfers that Paul Mitchell's been involved in directly, because I think that will help United fans to understand how he can spot talents, how he clearly has the contacts list, and that's a big thing about. We talk about sporting directors. One of the most important things for a sporting director is contacts, and Mitchell clearly will be very good at that. John Murtough, learning on the job. John Murtough's got, in my opinion, no chance of staying as part of this new structure. I don't doubt that he has tried his best. I'm not saying that he's not been trying. He's been allowed to learn on the job at Manchester United, and I think he's had some successes. I think probably Murtough's biggest success at United has been more to do with the overall improvement of our academy. I think our academy is in probably the best position it's been in like about 6-7 years. And John Murtough was quite an important part of that. But coming up into being the actual football director at Manchester United, he's failed. He's completely failed. So many signings that have happened under his watch shouldn't have happened. Right, let me see what you're saying down here. Steve Brooks, you're saying, where does Brailsford fit in? I think what I'll probably do at some point soon is I'll draw out like an organizational chart. Like where do all these people fit in? What would the actual footballing structure of Manchester United look like? Now I can only speculate, but I can give, I suppose, an educated speculation. Is that a thing? Just made that up. I'll be able to draw an org chart out and say, right, this is where Brailsford would sit. Brailsford would sit as, in my opinion, the chairman. He will be the man above all of this. Brailsford will be the person who sits in between. The way that is written out there is kind of wrong. Brailsford will sit in the middle. Brailsford will be the man, in my opinion, who links between Joel Glazer and Jim Ratcliffe. He'll be the person in charge of Manchester United's footballing department. Whoever we get in as CEO, are you doing your job properly? Let me make sure you're still doing that. I'll be your manager. He'll keep on top of what's going on with the sporting director. He'll be more the day-to-day sort of guy. And he'll tell Jim Ratcliffe what's going on. These are the successes. These are the failures. But Dave Brailsford won't be in charge of those decisions. He'll just be in charge of making sure those decision makers are doing their jobs properly. Chief Whip, if you want to call him that. Tom Goldsworthy. Mitchell's had very few hits in the last 3 years. It's moved on considerably. Look at Brighton. Dude, in the last, when did Mitchell join Monaco? Mitchell joined Monaco about 3 years ago, wasn't it? June 2020. Just exactly 3 years ago. He went to, as far as I know, I need to do a little bit more research into Paul Mitchell, but as far as I know, that when he went to Monaco, his position kind of switched a little bit away from focusing on recruitment to an overall sporting director, to an overall looking at the vision of the club and tying every aspect together. So he hasn't really been involved as much as he was involved in recruitment as Spurs, Southampton, and RB Leipzig. Robert, you're saying we've got to hope these changes have an actual genuine impact. And yeah, we do. And I think they will. But the proof is in the pudding, and the proof will be for sure in the proof is going to be, in my opinion, in the early communications. I think that will set the tone quite a lot with this takeover. So many skeptics, and I think fair skeptics, are looking at this Ratcliffe 25% takeover and going, it's not going to do anything. A very quick way to allay some of those fears is direct communication. Is pledging certain things that you are therefore held accountable to. You did this. You didn't do that. It might put a little bit more pressure on them, but they're about to become 25% owners of Manchester United. The pressure is already there. Fans deserve that communication, and that's the first thing. Look, that's why, for example, this weekend, The 58 are protesting again outside the northwest quadrant 1 hour before kickoff. If you go into the game, try and get there an hour early and join in. Reason that they're doing it this time, if you're looking at Old Trafford and you've seen the problems that have happened with Galatasaray when quite literally 500 to 1,500 Galatasaray fans got hold of tickets in the home end all over the stadium. United fans were blamed, naturally, by the club. They just did anything but apart from blame themselves. But there's been a shift towards an increased amount of hospitality options, a tent that's in the car park, the off-site hospitality in Victoria Warehouse, and the Glazers prioritizing these big money seats rather than season ticket holders. So if you can, join that in. But that's why United fans deserve and need communication from Ratcliffe, from Ineos, and I hope that comes. Ricky saying, do you think Toto Wolff will come in also? I mean, he could well invest. Yep, the TRA getting reduced next season as well, John. That's a really good point. Yeah, man, that's just season ticket holders have been shafted for a long time, man. I think so anyway. Being overlooked. Let's see what you're saying, down it. Stop overrating. I really wish the words you said are coming true for these footballing. I'm not overrating. I'm trying to explain what is happening. This is genuine change. Real, tangible change. The only thing we can't say with confidence is how much change. And that's why we need that communication. Let's have a look down there. Was that a lightning strike? Was that in this one here? I don't know. You can blame Sky Sports for that. I think it's because Harry Potter said that he needs to be a magician or something like that. Bit weird. A little bit weird. But look, I'm both excited and nervous in equal measure about what happens next week, and I'll be here to cover it. I should have been under the knife today. I should have been doing surgery, but alas, I'm not. So I'll be here to cover it properly for you. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been here for a little while, and you would have had to go watch content elsewhere. Look, let's quickly talk about this. Wrong thing. Let's quickly talk about this. Luton at the weekend. I just remembered that. I remember that Copenhagen game. That game was the way we were playing in that game. It was going to be set up for it to be such a morale boosting win. It would have been such a morale boosting win, and the red card changed everything. There's no excuse for United switching off and United crumbling. I don't think it's necessarily to do with hostility, in my opinion. I think it's more to, I mean, the hostility and hostile atmospheres make it harder, for sure. But it's just like when things don't go our way in a game, we turn into like sulky teenagers. United do. Or like we feel immediately hard done by, and then we just kind of like flap our arms up and we're just looking at the ref and we're like, oh, why always me? We kind of act like 11 Balotellis. That's just like, I don't know how you get that habit out of the players, but it seems to happen constantly. But what's your expectation for this weekend? Because we are playing Luton Town at home. Now, I know that Luton took a point off Liverpool. Could have been 3 at Kenilworth Road the other week. But Luton Town have been poop this season. Luton Town and Sheffield United are the cannon fodder of the Premier League this season. And Burnley too, actually. You can put that one down there. What's your expectation for the game? Because it's a problem if you don't beat Luton at home. If we were playing Luton away, I would probably have far more concerns. Because as they showed against Liverpool, in a small, the only hope they've got of staying up this year is if they get their results at home. I hope that Erik ten Hag will be able to rally this team, and the setup was right there, okay? Against Copenhagen, we switched. Everything felt more organized against Copenhagen because they didn't press us. They made it significantly easier for us to play out the back. But we had Eriksson and McTominay properly operating as a midfield two. And it wasn't necessarily just a pragmatic midfield two. It was a midfield two where two worked together. You didn't really see a midfielder in isolation. So often this season, you've seen Casemiro or Amrabat or Eriksson standing there as a number 6, looking up for a midfield and going, "Where the fuck are you?" And you got Bruno and Mount like waving from the edge of the box. Like, "I'm up here, mate," because there's been so much distance between our midfield and our attack. That can't happen against Luton. It didn't happen against Copenhagen. That was a big, big difference. You see what you're saying down there. Saeed, as long as VAR doesn't make a mess, just accept that it will. Maybe not accept that it will, but prepare yourselves. There is going to be a decision on Saturday, which is likely to influence the outcome of the game. I'd be more surprised if there wasn't at this point. Mainu will start on Saturday, says Louis. I don't think he will. No, kind of nor do I think he should. Like, finally, the penny dropped. The only thing that stopped that Copenhagen game from being a brilliant team performance and a mauling of Copenhagen was a red card. I don't think Ten Hag changes much. And I don't think he really should. Got to score 3 goals for half-time, says Alex. I mean, that's an ideal world. 1 goal, you're ahead, but you're sitting going, "Oh, just get a second." You get a second goal, and you're like, "Oh, what if they get 1 back?" They'll still be in it. It's that third goal, and I think Jake from the podcast spoke about this quite a lot last season. It's that third goal that changes everything. Because when you're 3 up, that's when you've got the cushion. That's when you can relax a bit. Because even if you concede, you're still good. Jonathan asking when the last time we thumped anyone was. I think I asked that the other day. But look, if there's one thing that we know we need to do, like without a shadow of a doubt, and you've already seen the photo, we've got the blueprint right there. We saw it against Galatasaray. Højlund scored 2 goals. We saw it against Copenhagen. We saw it with 2 goals. Play down the right-hand side. Clearly, that's where United strength. Without it, maybe it will change, and this is probably why we need Reguilon there instead of Dalot, because Dalot, first of all, just a ridiculous mistake to switch off against Copenhagen, and he was awful against Newcastle as well. If you play Reguilon, you're probably more likely to get an overlapping run down the left-hand side from Reguilon. And as much as I like the inversion of our fullbacks and bringing an extra body in midfield, with Højlund, it's crosses. It's cutbacks. That's where you get this guy scoring goals. It worked against Galatasaray, and it worked against Copenhagen. He scored nearly 40% of his goals at Atalanta from cutbacks and crosses. We've got to start playing towards it more. So I expect Marcus Rashford to start out on that right wing. Rashford was our main guy last season. He's not anymore. Højlund is. So therefore, I think Rashford will be playing on the right wing to the detriment of his probably ability to score a goal, but to an increase of the ability for Højlund to score. And that's why he'll be playing there. That's why I think Rashford down the right. I mean, I've hated Rashford down the right. But the reason I've always hated Rashford down the right is because I always saw Rashford as our main goal threat. And if you put him on the right-hand side, you minimize his goal threat. But you increase Højlund's. And I think that's now more important to this team. What's your predictions? You let me know in the comments. Dalot plays better without Wan-Bissaka breathing down his neck. Competition is healthy. It doesn't always suit every person, but wow, Wan-Bissaka is significantly more impactful down that right-hand side. And you're hoping that this is the game where United finally click and score 6. It will happen at some point. That's not just blind optimism to think it. It will. And at some point, United have got to... We do have to get a little bit of luck. Even non-United fans will have to admit that in these last 3-4 weeks, we have been getting a rough run of decisions. We have been. We haven't really been getting any lucky moments, any deflections here, any little gives, any little gimmies. We haven't got any in these last few weeks. Now, in my opinion on the concept of luck is that word's misused quite a lot in life. Oh, you're so lucky. What do you mean I'm lucky? You're looking at me here going, oh, you're so lucky to have that job. Yeah, I'm in this job now because I've worked my ass off for a long time to get into this position. So don't call that luck. And I think that's how a lot of luck happens on the pitch in football. A lot of luck is created by the hard work you put in. It's so lucky that it dropped to him in that position. No, he worked hard and got into that position. I think United have got to create their own luck. I don't think we kind of been just waiting for like a lottery ticket sometimes. And I think that's kind of part of the problem. So United, if we want to get lucky, put ourselves into more positions to get that lucky bounce, to get that lucky deflection. Force the luck. That comes through hard graft and work. 4-0 win, says Lone Wolf. Jeez, I'll take that. Don't Mount play on the left for Chelsea. He played on the left. He played on the right. He also played through. And I think that's what's making it a little bit more confusing with Mount. He is a versatile player. Just Ten Hag just doesn't want to play him. Head says 2-1. Jonathan, you're saying 2-1. Hart says 4-1, says Alex. 1-0 to Luton. Ah, geez, you imagine that happened. That would be a catastrophe. Steve, it's always darkest before the dawn. Dude, it's been dark for too long. It's been a long winter. That's what it is. We've basically been night walkers for like 8 years. I'm still annoyed that it took Daenerys 6 bloody seasons to cross the sea. And then it all unraveled so quickly. I'll never forgive him for that. 4-0. So I'll leave my prediction. I'll give you in the lunchtime video. My starting 11, tactics and talking points, which I'll kind of run through some of them with you here today, but I'll run through a little bit more. But look, if you can, just drop a like on the video for the studio. It's Friday, so we've got the full studio out. And let's also get the map up, all right? The sun is coming up, says Stephen. 8 or 9-0. Woo! Was it Leicester we beat 9-0 under Solskjaer? I think it was Leicester. Was it Leicester? Who's it we pumped? I think it was Leicester. Anyway, the map's up. So let me know where you're watching from, the town and the country, and I'll get some of you added onto the map. We are now up to 528. That's 528 different community members from all around the world. You're on the map. From Norway, from Australia, Denmark, New Zealand, Sweden, Jamaica, Egypt, Japan, Romania, Austria, Russia, Spain, Germany. How cool is that? Chris, you're watching the whole way from Adelaide. I think I might have Adelaide on here, but I'm going to get you on there again anyway. How you doing, man? Nice to have you on here. Thank you very much for just being a great member. What I will say here quickly before tomorrow, before I forget, I'm going to be doing the United People's TV Arms tomorrow, half an hour before the game. So at 2:30, I'll be in the members chat, just having a conversation with you, members, directly. It's more personal, it's more private, and you can ask me a question directly on the chat by speaking to me, not just like in the chat. You know what I mean? I did it for the game in midweek, and there was only 11 of you who joined, so it was real personal. So let's try and get more of us in there. I got a Montreal watching from, lo and behold, Montreal. I still really want to visit Canada, man. I think we've already got Montreal on there. I don't know. Well, Montreal's on there now. See if we can't get one more. Let's have a look. We've got Sue watching from Salford. We've got Andrew watching from Surrey. Andrew watching from South Yorkshire. Lasting Boy watching from Ghana in Accra. Woohoo! Brian watching from Galway. I think Galway's already on there. We've got Mikkel watching from Slagels. Slagels? Look at that. On the map, sir. Slagelsy? I mean, I'd probably obliterate the pronunciation of that about 4 times. Whoopsie. Look. Can I just say it's been another week of another week of one step forward, two steps back, three steps sideways, a diagonal leap that way. Still, we can't get that progression. But if those first 30 minutes against Copenhagen are anything to come by, I hope that we see that repeated against Luton. That right there was controlled football. That right there was United looking like they knew what they were doing. We've got Luton coming up on Saturday. We've also got the Ratcliffe takeover that should be happening next week. International breaks are normally a quiet time, but I think genuinely this international break, if it comes in, if the announcement is indeed made, then it's an exciting time and we can start, as a community, we'll start scrutinizing what questions need to be asked. What's the organizational chart going to look like? Who is Dave Brailsford? Who is Jean-Claude Blanc? Who is Paul Mitchell? I'll cover it all here on United People's TV. So make sure you drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. I will be here tomorrow for the match reaction. I'll be here a little bit later on today with my Luton starting 11 prediction and sort of prediction for how the game's going to go. Have a cracking weekend. Enjoy your Friday. I'll see you soon.